This is the InfatuAsian podcast, where I get together with people to talk about Asian things that we love. This is Curtis, and on today's episode, we are doing a special podcast collaboration with the Worst Asian Podcast, talking about the live-action remake of the anime Cowboy Bebop.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Welcome to episode number 16 of the InfatuAsian podcast. Today, we are talking about the Netflix show Cowboy Bebop, but to be honest, I am more excited just to talk to my guest about podcasting. So we'll talk about Cowboy Bebop a little, but the voice you hear is coming from Queens, New York, and it is half of the team over at the Worst Asian Podcast. It is Lingjie. Welcome, Lingjie.
Thank you, Curtis. Thanks for having me today.
So, listeners out there, how did Lingjie and I get together? Well, we just both started a podcast this year. You're what? Mm-hmm. September? When did you guys start?
Oh no, we're brand new born. We are in October. I want to say mid-October.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
And
we're still crawling along.
Well, I mean, I started in June, so it's not like I'm not running marathons yet either. But yeah, so we just started a podcast, and new podcasters are always looking for audience and always just seeing what else is out there. And so I think I don't know who found each other first, but we kind of found each other on Instagram and started listening to each other's podcasts and commenting on little things that we throw up there on a story or maybe a post on Instagram, and we would comment, and we just started talking that way. And there's not a lot of people that understand the podcast life. Lingjie, it's like,
oh yes, there is few of us. I forgot who slid into whose DMs, but that's how it all started.
Yeah, basically, that's how it starts.
You would think that having two podcasters on today, I think your expectations are probably a little bit too high. You're looking for great discussion, great points, really awesome segues, maybe. But I'm just telling you, just be prepared to be a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, well, like I said, we were supposed to talk about Cowboy Bebop. We kind of got on the topic. I think one of the times we were just chatting, it's like, yeah, I'm watching Cowboy Bebop. And you said, I'm watching Cowboy Bebop. And I was like, oh, I need someone to do an episode with me. And you came on.
Perfect.
But it worked out like that. But yeah, we're definitely not professionals. Yeah, I don't know what my expectations are. I'm just hoping to have a good conversation, so we'll see.
Curtis, you have my full permission. If this thing goes really sour today, you don't ever have to air this. So that's a little bit behind the scenes inside baseball for you listeners out there. If for some reason you're listening to this, that means this episode went fairly well, or Curtis had absolutely nothing.
We had nothing better.
He has zero content. There was nothing in the backlog, so he had to release this out there.
No, I have nothing in the backlog. This has to go. I need something by Wednesday, and you're it, man. That's all we got. So
that's a lot of pressure.
So if you tuned in to hear two dads talking about podcasting, you're in the right place.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, well, the Worst Asian Podcast. You and your partner is not your podcast partner, not your lifelong.
My podcast husband.
Yeah. Your podcast bro is Ben. How did you and Ben come up with that name?
To be honest with you, there was a lot of SEO things, so we definitely wanted to stick the word Asian in there. And then from there, we were just down for anything. And I think through the course of conversation and just joking around, we said, why not the Worst Asian Podcast? At least then you could keep the expectations low.
Yeah.
And whatever the listeners got, it would just be the cherry on top.
Yeah, because if it totally sucks, it's like, well, what'd you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, one big bonus was when you call yourself the worst of something, it's not surprising that all these social media handles have not been taken yet.
You can get your Twitter, your Instagram,
your Instagram, your TikTok. It's all very uniform. So my OCD brain is very, very happy about that.
Yeah, and it's easy to search up. Like mine is a little hard because it's a pun.
It is. It's a great pun, by the way.
I like it, but there's sometimes people go infatuation, they're searching that up,
Yep.
or they're spelling it correctly, and I'm like, no, what are you doing? It's a pun.
You don't get the joke.
Yeah. So, I like the way, that maybe it's the Asian in you decided, do we want to call ourselves a bad podcast? No, let's go all the way.
Yeah.
And call ourselves the worst.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
starting from the bottom.
Yeah, you're not just pretty awful. You're the worst. But just kidding. It's a great show. I like listening to it. It's a fun conversation, and you hit all the sweet topics. Like you're hitting. Talk about money on one podcast. You talk about family a lot.
We talk about interracial dating. Surprisingly, that's our number one episode so far.
Yeah, no, that was
far.
Good one. Is that your favorite, or do you have a favorite?
That actually is our favorite so far to do. The thing is, doing the whole podcast thing, number one, we wanted to keep Curtis entertained on his drive to and from work.
Very important.
I think that's very, very important. But aside from that, it's just two guys having a conversation, very akin to what you would have with your best friend over beer or a couple bottles of soju.
Yeah.
The great thing about the internet is there is no minimum requirement to start putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
So there was no barrier. There was a slight paywall, but there was no actual barrier. So we put ourselves out there. We try to have genuine, unfiltered conversations. I think sometimes people get a bit too uptight about having all the facts. We're not uptight about that. I'm just saying it's okay to have an open dialogue and kind of figure things out, figure out what you don't know, and just go from there.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what podcasting is in a way. It's just listening in on a couple people having a conversation, and they're kind of inviting you in. So yeah, welcome to the InfatuAsian studio. You can come on in and have a chat, everybody.
Yep.
And I feel like more than other media, podcasting is a relationship, where you kind of
It's very intimate.
Yeah, and I don't know if people write into you that often, but I have a few that write in almost every week. And
oh wow.
They give, and some of them I know and some of them I don't know, but they're just like, oh, I like the episode, or they'll just give me a 2-second review, or just give me one little factoid I missed or something like that.
That's one of those things that I think I said to you previously. One of the unexpected nice things about this has been meeting people like yourself and talking to fans and whatnot. It's been nice to just get some feedback from people, whether it's positive or constructive. It's always been very nice to get genuine feedback from people, and to know that someone out there is actually listening to your opinions.
Yeah, which is
not that it's a good idea to do so, but that they are for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, right? And it's and you get the analytics, right? So that they're all over the country, all over the world.
Yep.
Which is fascinating. I have a strong, I don't know if I could call it strong, but I have one, maybe two listeners in Bermuda, which is, I don't know.
Oh, me too.
Hey, maybe it's the same person.
Yeah. It's the same person that's listening to you and me.
Oh, man.
I always joke with Ben. I tell him these people must be using a VPN and they're just rerouting to some other country.
Possible.
That's a possibility too.
But I like to imagine someone sitting in a hammock, drinking some rum, maybe some rum on a hammock, maybe fishing, listening to us talk about.
You're definitely a glass half full kind of person.
You're imagining
very optimistic.
You're imagining some North Korean prisoner using a VPN.
Using a VPN, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, but that was super fun. Like, Luxembourg, all these crazy. No, I don't want to say crazy. Luxembourg, we love you.
Number 8, number 5 there?
No, I'm number 219.
219. Oh, sorry.
Hey man, I'm still proud of 219. Trust me, that's probably the highest.
That's up there.
Yeah, no, but I looked it up. I was like, man, I'm number 219 in Luxembourg, and I looked it up, and it's like 8 downloads. So I mean, man, if they listen to 9 episodes, I might make the top 100. So
seriously, you might.
So Luxembourg, out there, download like
Say
5.
hi.
Download 5 more for me. Get me into the top 10, man. That'd be cool. So yeah, Bermuda, hello. This is your dream come true. You get to hear both of us at the same time. Oh man, where else?
Make sure you put on that sunscreen wherever you are listening to this in Bermuda.
Yeah, I'm imagining really light white sand beaches and yeah, a lot of tequila. All right, so we are coming to you bi-coastal here. We got two coasts. Now, you're born and raised Queens?
Raised in Flushing, Queens. The same for me and my podcast husband. We're both in Queens for the majority of our lives. Ben was born here. I was actually born in China, and then I went over to France for a couple of years when I was young, and then I came over here to the U.S.
Yeah, I would say, when my sister moved to Manhattan, maybe in her 20s, and she lived there for about 12, 13 years, and I didn't I had never been before, so I went to visit her, and I realized, because I live in San Francisco, which I think of as a city, right? But then I went to New York, and I realized, no, San Francisco is like a small town.
Oh, yeah. In terms of just the building height and the sheer scale of things, right?
Everything, yeah. Because San Francisco's danky. We're not even 1 million people, We're really small. And our downtown is like cute, right? Compared to Manhattan.
Yeah, it's cute. It's nice.
Yeah, but
San Francisco was actually the last place I flew to prior to COVID.
Oh,
It was in February of 2020, just before things got real.
Oh, wow, really, really right before it.
Yeah, right before.
Yeah. And you said you didn't love it, but
Hey, if you're listening to us from San Francisco, I didn't say I didn't love it. I just said Flushing, Queens was a little bit better. Non-biased opinion.
Well, just real talk. If you ever come out again, I will give you the insider's tour, and I think you'll like it better. I think the tourist view of San Francisco. Yeah, San Francisco, the touristy places, not the best. But the little hole in the walls are a little better. Yeah, that's true of probably anywhere. But,
I'll hold you to it.
All right, yeah, for real. But I think I've only been to Flushing maybe once or twice. But
a long time ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago. But I do want to go. I've been, you watch a lot of. Do you watch any of the Fung Bros or YouTube stuff?
They're always here.
Yeah, they're always in New York, and they're always trying amazing food in Flushing. And
they are
Korean food, Chinese food, Japanese food. It looks so good. And the Worth It guys from BuzzFeed, they did a Peking Duck episode in Flushing.
Right. And then Mike Chang used to live in Flushing too.
Right.
Not sure where he is now.
I think he's in Texas. Well, he's all over.
Is he?
Yeah, he's all over. Yeah, no, so I got to get out to Flushing just for the food, I think, if anything.
Yeah, Flushing is definitely the mecca of Asian foodie culture.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, we have kind of maybe, San Francisco's more the southern Chinese, but you've got the northern, the Taiwanese, the Fujian.
Wide range.
Yeah.
Lots of Cantonese, lots of Guangdong places, lots of Taiwanese places as well. It's a wide range here.
Yeah, and the Korean food is...
Of course.
Next level.
Next level.
All right, so we got to do an exchange. We are actually, I'm I'm not inviting myself over or anything, but I am going to New York this summer. So.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Next summer?
Seriously? 2022. But we're only there for like 5 days, so we'll see. I want to get out to Flushing, but maybe we can grab some Peking duck or something.
100%.
All right.
You can hold me to that.
Okay, all right. We'll meet the fam. We'll see. The shy wives might get along. Maybe the introverted wives will get along.
Who's into plants, your wife or you?
My wife likes them, but I'm more of the caretaker of them.
Okay, so you and my wife can get along. Because I was telling you before, in the background, just in case you have a Instagram, YouTube snippet or something, there's a lot of plants in the background.
Yeah, it looks great. No, my wife's a crafter. She likes, home crafting stuff. So yeah, maybe someday we'll get together, hang out. We'll do a on location food review on.
Oh, that would be nice. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, Flushing. All right, so we're here. Oh, one more thing. I wanted to mention that you got. I think it's going till the end of the month. The charity raffle.
Oh yes. So what we are trying to do, trying is the big word that we need to emphasize here. What we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness for the AIP Community Fund that's on GoFundMe. Now that's already one of the largest funds that's out there. I think currently they're at 6 million, close to 7 million, but their ultimate goal is $8 million. And unfortunately, this last quarter of the year or so, things have really kind of dried up or so. You can actually go onto the website and you can see the historical list of donations and things really have dried up. So we're just trying to do our part, maybe push people to make a small donation. Minimum donation is only $5. Like I was joking with Ben, like I always joke, and I think we'll say this in a previous one in a future episode that we release. But, skip your next boba tea, skip your next bottle of soju or something. You're not going to miss it. Take that $5-10, donate. It's a good cause. And as an incentive, we're giving out prizes and such. So not to plug our thing, but just to plug the charity. If you want to win some prizes, go to our Instagram, worstasianpod.com. There'll be a post there. There'll be a video post. They'll have all the rules, all the prizes and whatnot. Like I said, minimum $5. Skip the boba. Do something good. But statistically, you have a good chance of winning something good.
No, go plug away, man. No, we want to go to Worst Asian Podcast or Worst Asian Pod on Instagram.
Correct.
There's links in your bio there, and they'll get you over to the Stop Asian Hate site. And donate what you can, man, because it's still going on. We have a news reporter out here, Dion Lim. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she, sometimes I can't. I have to keep scrolling because she just, anytime someone sends her some video footage of someone getting attacked, it just kills me, man. Because it's like, these are just the ones that are caught on tape too. So, there's so many more that are not being reported because, the Asian community, a lot of times, is just keep your head down, don't cause trouble,
Yep.
And
keep things to yourself.
Yeah, there's got to be hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of more attacks that are not being reported, and people's lives devastated and may never be the same in some cases, with psychologically or financially or physically, whatever. There's all kinds of damage that's being done by these attacks, and it's just, there's no point to it. I don't see any point to it. So it's just, you got to do what you can, right? And
yep, even if it's a drop in the bucket.
Exactly. Yeah, if enough of us do $5, we'll get to that 8 million, right?
Yep.
So
agreed.
Cool. Proud of you guys for doing that. Best
Appreciate
of
the
luck.
help.
Yeah. No, the InfatuAsian Nation will come through for you. I feel it.
Please.
I just named our fandom. They don't know what they're called or anything, but I just named them. All right.
Well, it's good to have a fandom name.
Yeah. That's assuming you have fans, but. All right, so we're actually here to record a podcast, not just promote our own podcast. we're actually here to actually talk about Cowboy Bebop, which was really, really popular back in the 90s. Now, I know I'm a lot older than you, so I was already in college. I was actually just out of college, probably around that time. Were you like a little kid? Were you like?
No. I'm 34 right now, so. When Cowboy Bebop came out, I was at that time I was still pretty young, but I watched it a couple years later.
Okay.
And it may be a surprise to you, but one of my hidden superpowers is I'm a self-proclaimed anime/manga weeb and lover of all otaku culture. So you got the right person on here.
Yeah. No, because I know nothing. I don't know why. I think I feel like I would like anime if I ever got into it because I like. I'm a visual person. I like seeing things, and I like the aesthetics as well as the storytelling. But for some reason, I've never gotten into manga or anime. So okay. So you got to help me out here. So 1998, I think.
Correct.
Is only 26 episodes. Is that like 1 year? Is that 2 years?
That's just one season. And without giving away, there's a reason why it was just done after a single season. But the original anime is one of the few things that the weeb fandom can agree is definitely a masterpiece. There are a few things that the anime fandom can come together and say, this we all say yes to, but Cowboy Bebop was very unique in its visual styles. It was a mixed genre masterpiece, and I think for a lot of people that don't watch anime, it's one of the few things I would say, give it a shot. I think you will enjoy it.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I just watched a few. We'll talk about this later, but it's also on Netflix. You can watch the anime. But yeah, so maybe what makes it a little bit legendary is that it was only one season or was only 26 episodes. So, and it's made a lot of people's best anime ever list. Is it on your top 10, you think? Would you?
Yeah, I don't have a personal listicle of my top 10, but I would say wherever it falls in the top 10, it's well deserving of it.
It's in the conversation for sure.
Definitely.
So they kept a lot of it, I think. Spike Spiegel is kind of this iconic character that I know I've seen him before, even though I didn't watch the anime. He's so iconic that you kind of see him around, maybe on a T-shirt or somewhere.
You've probably seen him on media doing cosplay. Maybe some people do cosplay of him on memes. Yeah,
yeah.
He's definitely out there. If you've never seen the anime, you've seen the character for sure. If someone throws up a picture of him, even if you've never seen the anime, you recognize the figure at least.
Yeah. No, I feel like when I was watching, I was like, hey, I know this guy, even though I don't know this guy. Like you said.
Yeah.
He's in the peripheral vision for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is only 10 episodes, so they had to cut some material, obviously, or save some material for season 2, right? Maybe. We'll talk about that. But so Spike is kind of, how would you describe, nonchalant, or how would you describe him?
He's definitely nonchalant. He's easygoing. He kind of just flows with things, much like how their spaceship, the Bebop, kind of just flows about and just goes with things. I think his attitude on life is kind of the same way, and a lot of that has to do with his backstory.
Yeah. Okay, so then he's partnered with Jet Black, who is muscular, has a robotic arm. Is that a robotic arm?
Yeah, it's a replacement arm, and I think in one of the episodes they tell you why he has that arm.
Yeah.
But the two of them together, it's essentially like a buddy cop series, a sci-fi buddy cop series.
Yeah. So Jet Black is a little more serious. He worries a little bit more, but he's a softie. He's tough on the outside, softie, and then there's kind of like the no, playboy's not the right word, but he's
That's
Spike's
definitely not the right word.
For Spike, like kind of, I don't know. He's I don't know how. Is there another character that you might
say that he compares well to?
Yeah,
from a different series, maybe, or
even just in like a Han Solo. Kind of got good lines, got great hair.
I'm blanking right now. You're supposed to be the good one at this.
Well, I'll edit out this silence, so we'll sound like geniuses. Let's think. Kind of a Brad Pitt, kind of
Yeah, I can see that. I can see a little bit. You kind of put me on the spot right now, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. But he's very cool. He's very laid back, very relaxed. He has that certain swag to him.
Well, you know which one kind of fits is Harold from Harold and Kumar, right? Like,
to a certain extent, yes.
Yeah, smart, but kind of just cool, but kind of dorky at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm sure that probably went into their thinking a little bit. We'll get to that in a minute. But so they fly around a spaceship called the Bebop, and they are cowboys, which in this universe are bounty hunters.
Correct.
Looking for people that are wanted. I think that the storyline is they're wanted by the police, so they get the reward from the police if they catch them. And the year is 2071, which, fun fact, in 2071, I will be 100 years old. Just a little side note there. And so it's a weird little mashup, right? It's a weird, it's cowboy, so there's kind of a Western feel to it, but it's also kind of filmed in a noir kind of way, like 1930s.
Yeah. It's a mixed genre. It's a grab bag of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I think that is part of the reason why it's done so well, because it kind of, no matter which genre you lean towards, there's always a little bit of something there for you.
Yeah, it's very charming. The music is jazzy, swing jazz, like really, really fun soundtrack. So episode by episode, they're kind of looking, they have an episodic nature where they have someone that they're looking for on each episode. And usually they're trying to make money off of these people. But there's this longer subplot of a story that centers around Spike, or Fearless, right, and who he was, as well as what he's trying to accomplish in life a little bit. So it's fun. It's a fun show. I think they started this in 2017. I read, so they had this on the back burner for a while. And
yeah, they did, and then due to, in part because John Cho himself got hurt, right?
Right. Yeah. He got
tore
hurt.
his ACL.
Yeah, so he was out for like 6 months, and then this little thing called coronavirus came on.
Yep. There was that too.
Yeah, so everything kind of it wasn't a blessed production. They had a lot of setbacks, but Netflix picked it up, and the cast is pretty fun. So like we said, they have John Cho, which he's the main character, Spike Spiegel. which you all know from Harold and Kumar. Better Luck Tomorrow. I think you mentioned that on your last show.
Yeah, he was in Better Luck Tomorrow. That was OG back then. He was in that. He was in Searching. That was a more recent movie that he had.
Yeah.
But
Selfie.
he's in a lot.
You ever watched Selfie?
I have not watched Selfie.
Sitcom in 2014, and it was the first Asian male lead in a sitcom with a Caucasian woman.
Was this on a major station?
Yeah, it was
ABC, NBC, something
yeah, one
like
of
that?
those. Yeah, one of those American networks, a big one, and it only lasted 7 episodes.
Oh, jeez.
They canceled it midway.
That's probably why I never heard of it.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's too bad because it has a following, has kind of a cult following. And John Cho says he gets messages every so often like, "Oh, we missed that show," and he said he had a good time on that show, but yeah, didn't make it. I'm emphasizing it here because I know I forgot it in our sitcom episode. So yeah, there was one, and if anyone was gonna be the first Asian male romantic lead, it's got to be John Cho, right?
Yeah, definitely.
He
seemed like he was out there way before a lot of other people.
Yeah, for sure. That he could play. He was in that movie Searching, like you said, and it wasn't necessarily a real Asian-y role, right? It was just kind of like a dad looking for his daughter.
Looking for his dad using the power of social media. Yeah, it was just a regular good story, and it just happened to have an Asian protagonist.
Yeah. So he's kind of crossing over stuff maybe before a lot of other things came out. So yeah, I think most people love him. I can't think of any bad role that he's ever had.
Can we also say that John Cho got in really good shape for this show?
Yeah.
Really, really good shape. I do not remember John Cho being so fit before. I never... Did he ever have a shirtless scene prior to this show?
Maybe.
Not that I remember.
Maybe in Harold and Kumar, like part 2 or something. Maybe when they go to Guantanamo Bay. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
he did not look like this.
No, yeah. And he's doing a lot of fighting in this one. Do you know how old he is?
He's 40-something, right?
He's 49.
Dang.
He's 1 year younger than me, man. So he is...
Wow.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's looking good. We'll talk a little bit more about his performance later. But yeah, always good to see John Cho on the screen. And, and they had a choice, I think, because in the anime... I mean, Spike Spiegel's not necessarily an Asian character in that.
Okay, so this is where you have me on for.
Okay, yeah, okay, good.
So in the anime, I don't think it's ever directly referenced, and someone can correct me on this. I don't think he was ever directly referenced as being Japanese or Asian, but in a subsequent manga, I read that he was directly referenced as being Japanese.
Okay, all right.
So
they did the right thing.
Yeah. They did the right thing.
They definitely did the right thing because a lot of the cast, Jet Black and Faye Valentine, are not necessarily written as Asian. They have, like Faye has a little bit of a Japanesey pop girl.
Ambiguous sometimes.
Yeah, but the rest of the cast of the anime weren't necessarily Asian. It obviously they're speaking Japanese in the anime. But,
yeah.
But yeah, it seemed like a mixed cultures. They have all over different planets. They're all over the place, so it makes sense to be a diverse cast. But they went with John Cho as the lead. Mustafa Shakir, you ever watch Luke Cage?
Yes, that's the only place where I've seen him before. When I saw him, I was like, "It's that guy from Luke Cage."
Me too. Yeah, same. So he's in here. And then Daniela Pineda as Faye Valentine. I don't think I've ever seen her before.
Same here. I have not seen her in anything before.
But yeah, she's great. So the cast is strong. Netflix doesn't. They don't pull purse strings on. They spend money.
For the most part, they don't. Yeah. Except on dubbing.
Oh, dubbing. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that on our podcast. Yeah, they spent the budget for dubbing is like $2,000 or something like that. Okay, so that's the cast, and it did well. I haven't looked at Rotten Tomatoes, but on Netflix, it got up to, I think it got all the way to number 1 or number 2.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
The first week or so, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I don't know if I backed myself in a corner with this statement a couple weeks ago, but I said if anything with an Asian lead makes it to the top 10 on Netflix, we'll do a show on it. So I might be.
Well, there's a lot of stuff coming out, so you might have a lot of these episodes lined up, which I guess is good for the content.
good for the content, but yeah, I don't know if I can keep up. But yeah, so I felt like I wanted to do it, and then lo and behold, you came along to help me out with this. So let's get into it. Let me go ahead and throw out the spoiler alert. So anyone who has not watched this show, some people like spoilers. I have one listener, Margaret. She says, I don't care. I'll listen to the spoiler or not. So
Hi, Margaret.
If you want to listen, Margaret, go ahead. The rest of you, tune out if you don't want to hear anything about the actual plot or the show. I'm going to play a little snippet of the Seatbelts. The Seatbelts is the amazing band that does a lot of the theme song and a lot of the music, composed by Yoko Kanno in Japan, and this is the original. So when was that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, like 13 years ago, she did the original song, and they got this band together, and it's a big band. It's a full wind band, swing band, and so the songs are amazing. So I'll play a little bit of it. When the song is over, you should be gone by then if you don't want to hear any spoilers. So this is called Tank by the Seatbelts.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
I love that song.
Every time I hear it, it gets me going. Yeah, it's cool.
I love that song.
So good, right? So yeah, so listen for the music, watch for the visuals, and
I want to give props to whoever at Netflix or the powers that be that was smart enough to recognize that the soundtrack and the music was one of the key components that made the original anime so good. And the fact that they brought it back the exact same composer that worked on the first anime and brought her in, and she mixed up some of these new things for this live action. It was great.
Yeah, you have to have it. Yeah, and it's a partnership. This was a true partnership, I think, where the original company, what's it called, Tomorrow or?
Not sure.
We can't think of the name right, but whatever company it was, whatever studio it was that produced it in '98, they partnered with them to make sure they kept it pretty faithful.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you, Lingjie. Has there ever been, in your mind, a successful anime to live action adaptation?
The short answer is no.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much sums it up. I think people always poop on Dragon Ball, the live action movie by M. Night Shyamalan, right? And that movie, to be fair, deserves all the poop that it gets, because it really is just that bad. And to the listeners out there, you have my personal express permission to continue to poop on that movie, because it is a train wreck in every aspect. It just it's cringeworthy. I can do a whole episode about why that thing is so bad.
Okay,
but
we might have to do it.
To be fair, it's not just the Western studios that are doing bad things with anime. I think you have a lot of Japanese studios who, I think they did Bleach, they did Mob Psycho, they did Attack on Titan, and those are Japanese studios, and they did just as bad of a job. Yeah. Because I think the genre itself is innately very typical to translate into live action.
Yeah.
So that's my way of saying it's not really their fault, but still kind of their fault.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think I've ever seen one like, okay, I told you I'm not an anime person, but just looking at snippets of Ghost in the Shell, I would think that would be an amazing movie.
Yes, because they had a full budget, a full real Hollywood budget. They had Scarlett Johansson, the visuals, the CG, the world building was all aesthetically very, very pleasing. And, to be honest with you, I didn't really hate Ghost in the Shell that much. I mean, you can nitpick at certain things that it was a bad carbon copy of the original, but I think if you just turned off your anime brain and your anime critic and you just enjoy the movie visually, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. And a lot of fun has been made, poked fun at the casting of Scarlett Johansson. But, the anime itself, like we said with Cowboy Bebop, it's a little ambiguous of the ethnicity of the assassin. Or is it really clear that she's Japanese? Or just looking visually, there are
Which one are we referencing right now?
Ghost in the Shell. What's her name?
A Ghost in the Shell. I think she is Japanese. I think at some point, because there have been so many spin-offs and so many subsequent sequels to the original Ghost in the Shell. I think she has been referenced as being Japanese.
All right, I'm deleting this then. It never happened.
It's okay. You gotta keep the bad content out there so that when the good content comes out, people have a reference point.
Well, because that's the thing, right? When you're drinking a beer, shooting the breeze with a friend, right? The BS meter just goes. There's so much nonsense that's said. So we'll just, that's life. Sometimes you make mistakes. So I don't know. I didn't hate it either, but I guess it just left a bad taste in my mouth because I was like, that she should have been Japanese. I guess maybe.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people that hate on the movie have not even watched the movie, which is not fair because you see all these memes, you see a lot of this hating of Scarlett Johansson for taking the lead, and it's not her fault. And if you forget the fact that she should be Asian and you just try to take the movie as a whole, it's not as bad as the internet makes it out to be.
Yeah. Jimmy O Yang has a great line. He was just like, I don't blame Scarlett Johansson. He's like, if they gave me money to play George Washington, I'd play the hell out of George Washington. It's like
exactly, that's true. Money talks.
Exactly.
One recent thing that was actually kind of decent. Have you seen on Netflix? It's called Alice in Borderlands.
Yeah.
Has that popped up on your recommended on Netflix?
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I've watched it. I watched it before Squid Game, and I actually liked it better than Squid Game, to be honest.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I actually watched it after Squid Game. I saw it before, but I never get a chance. Once I finished Squid Games, I wanted more of that survival horror genre kind of thing, and I remembered that had actually come on, and I watched it afterwards. So maybe we have different views because you saw it before Squid Games. I saw it after Squid Games, so different reference point. I thought it was acceptable, B-.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that was a webtoon, or was that actually anime? Was that?
That was a manga.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Korean dramas are bringing webtoons by the handful to the little screen, and successfully. A lot of the, What's Wrong with Secretary Kim, a lot of the big names, Sweet Home, like all of those were originally webtoons, which is basically a manga, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's just a different medium in which it's released, but it's a manga.
Yeah, but those do well for some reason. So, I can see why it's hard. Well, we'll talk about it later, maybe when we actually give our opinion on this show. But I think there's a couple things that I can think of that why it would be hard to do that. Why it would be hard to bring an anime to live action. But actually, let's talk about this actual show. So, first off, the look. What do you think when you first started watching, or maybe you saw the trailer for it? What did you think of the look? Did it work for you?
I think the trailers, before the full episodes actually released, the trailers did a very good job of mimicking the original feel of the anime, especially the opening theme, the OP. Now, that was on point. That was very, very good. And I think when they released that, I think that was the first trailer, correct? It was just the OP.
Yeah.
And that did a good job hyping myself up for it.
Right.
So
me too.
Visually, it was very, very good. At least in the beginning. There are things that if you want to nitpick compared to the anime, you can do so. But just taking the show as is on its own, I think they did a good job. Stylistically, it was very pleasing.
Yeah, and it's super difficult, right? Because animes, there's no limit to their creativity. There's no limit to their, they can have all these things happen in space. They can have this, hyperspace portal thing, and they can do all this stuff on anime. They can do whatever they want, right? They can bend bullets. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same cost to draw a candy cane as it takes to draw a hyperspace portal. It's all the same. It's all the same colors. Yeah. It's the same graphics.
Yeah. But when you're starting to, like they have this one scene, I forget her name, but one of the characters is at a metal smelting factory or something. One of the vicious is
one of the other crime bosses.
Yeah, she's at like a smelting factory. I was just watching this. I was like, this is only on for like 3 minutes total.
Yeah.
And the elaborate set they had to make to do it wasn't CGI. They had to have a physical.
It was a real set, yeah.
Yeah, and they built the Bebop. and I think the director was saying it's like the size of a basketball court. Like, there's an upstairs and a downstairs to that set, and it was just
Netflix budget.
really elaborate. Yeah, so they spent a lot on the look of it. And like we said, it jumps genre, right? So there's some scenes that are kind of like the Wild West in kind of deserty, dry towns, and then there's nightclubs, and then there's outer space, and then, and there's kind of like gritty earth kind of places in the 1930s with old-fashioned cars and jazz clubs and all this stuff. And so it's really it's a feast for the eyes in a lot of ways, but at the same time, I don't think it totally can match up with the anime, because like you said, you can do anything in the anime visually, and they did great, but I think you're just never gonna get that exact feel of the anime.
Yeah, the live action was a tasteful recreation, both in terms of the visuals, the backgrounds, even the costumes or so. They're not carbon copies of the maybe besides Spike's costume, they're not carbon copies of the original costumes from the anime, but they're all very tasteful adaptations of it. And for obvious budgetary reasons, for technical reasons, I'm sure you can't have the same world building that you do on a anime platform where you can literally just draw a whole world in the background and it makes no difference, right? You can't do that. And I've heard that CGIing a background itself is also very expensive.
Yeah, it's not free. Yeah. So aesthetics, I give a solid B+ on aesthetics. I think the look was pretty good, but when you're used to watching just crazy anime, not crazy is not the right word, but elaborate anime scenery, it just you can't do it. But it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, so the acting,
it got off to a rocky start, didn't it? I think the chemistry between Jet and Spike, at least in the first couple episodes, I think that distracted from my experience in the beginning, and that's why I kind of had a hard time getting into the flow of things. Yeah. And I don't think that's anything to do with the two actors. I think the dialogue that they were given was just kind of bland. It almost felt at times like I was watching an anime dubbed poorly, and it just there's something not natural about it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It's like they weren't talking to each other. They were just reciting lines.
Yep.
And sometimes anime is a little like that, right? Sometimes anime is a little bit like you're talking to yourself because, like with a manga or like a comic book, there's like conversation bubble and it just kind of pops up there. And so it's not it's not. There
are times in the manga and the anime when they have thoughts in their head that you have to then translate to spoken word when you do a live action version of something, and then that just comes off a bit strange, a bit unnatural, because there may be certain things are just meant for their brains to be thinking as opposed to them actually saying out loud, but they have to do so in order for it to be relayed to the audience.
Yeah, so it kind of stalled out, like you said. It was a little. I think we were texting each other like, I'm on episode 2. I'm on episode 3. It's like it took us a while.
A slow burn in the beginning, yeah.
Slow burn, yeah. So we know these guys can act. We know that they're good actors, but yeah, the dialogue or something about the chemistry. Part of it too is maybe you're doing so much on these really elaborate sets. It's almost distracting, maybe. I don't know. But it wasn't.
Felt as if the first couple episodes there was a bit more background. How do you say it? They spent a bit more time and purpose showing you the background, and that may have distracted from the actual dialogue that they were trying to have.
Yeah, maybe. So it doesn't flow like a dialogue-driven drama. You're supposed to, I think, take in the visuals, get to know the characters. And plot-wise, how close? Like I've watched. I'm only up to like episode 6 on the anime, but it looks like they pulled certain things, and it's not in order. That's not in the same order at all. But they pulled certain things almost literally, and reproduced them, and then some things were totally different. What did you think about the storytelling?
The anime itself has a lot. Well, the anime itself was 26 episodes. They were short episodes, but there was far more subplots and small side stories in the anime, and I think for the sake of just bringing it to a 10-episode live action thing, they had to cherry pick certain things And I think they were also saving some content just in case there was a season 2.
Right.
I think they did the best that they could because you have 3 protagonists and there should be 4, but we'll talk about that later. There are three main protagonists, and you're trying to weave in their richer background story into a cohesive plot that flows properly. And then it's hard to do that because you only have 10 episodes or so.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of backstory on all of that.
There is a lot of backstory. One of the main things about this is you have 3 very flawed people and they have a very deep, rich backstory. I think one of the main underlying points of the original anime is you can't run away from your past. Mm-hmm. And what the anime does very well is it explored the past of each one of these characters in a way that I don't think you got as much from the live action.
Yeah. Well, makes sense. The time constraints.
Yep.
So I was a little surprised watching the anime that one of the climactic scenes where Spike and Vicious are, Spike's got his gun to Vicious's shoulder and Vicious has his sword. That was like episode 5, that was like really early.
Yeah, that was right in the beginning when he fell off the clock tower, church tower or something. Yeah. That happens pretty early on.
Yeah. But
they changed it up.
Yeah, and they made that kind of the whole through line was this love triangle between Spike, Julia, and Vicious. That was one of the main themes, and kind of Spike's purpose for living is to try to find her and free her and, love her and live happily ever after, right? That was his goal in life. And so that's kind of the through plot. And then there's these episodes where they're trying to get different bounties, which are fun. Those are fun. So I think this is, I think the storytelling, I don't know. How would you rate the plot? It worked, but it wasn't great.
Exactly. It worked. I think they stitched it together. They did the best they could. If you knew nothing of the anime, I think you would probably give the plot a bit higher score. If you want to be critical and say it doesn't take the best points from the anime, the best subplots, then maybe you want to give it a C. But honestly, not to be too critical, I think it's the best that they could have done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like the ending. Sort of.
Did you?
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's disappointing. But it made more sense that, spoiler alert, so Julia just like, you dummy, why didn't you come for me? Like, that totally makes sense, now I think, because the whole time I was thinking she's going to fall in his arms, he's going to rescue her, they're going to live happily ever after. But she just points the gun at him and said, where were you these last 4 years?
Yeah, it's very tragic. I think the ending of the Netflix show, even though it's not exactly what happened in the end of the anime, it has the same feeling where all the characters are somewhat separated from each other. They kind of go their own ways. And I don't want to spoil the anime unless you want me to spoil the anime for people out there. But let's just say it has the same sad feeling that it gives you where each person goes their own separate ways.
Yeah. So, I mean, like is a strong word, but I was satisfied with the ending. So overall, I'm in the B range on the plot, maybe a little lower than aesthetics.
Yeah.
I think, but I mean, it's definitely watchable, and there is a payoff at the end. Did you have a favorite character?
Oh, Faye, for sure. She did a great job. We were saying before that the dialogue was kind of didn't really work together. The chemistry between Jet and Spike at first didn't seem to work as well. But I think as soon as Faye came to the picture, the dynamic between the 3 of them was much better than just the 2 of them prior to her. So she brought a bit of a fresh air to the whole series. And I think from the point that she entered the show, first episode, right? Was she there in the first episode?
Early, yeah. Not.
She came, she went, and then she came back, something like that.
Yeah.
But she definitely made it much more enjoyable. I think the chemistry between the three of them, the dynamic worked much better.
I agree.
And that's kind of when I forgot, or at least I tried to just let go of the fact that some of the dialogue was just not as natural.
Yeah. And she's quite different than the anime, definitely
Yeah.
less sexualized than the so the
Well,
anime is like oof.
the costume that she has in the anime. If you just turn the wrong way, it's gonna fall off. So
Yeah.
can't do that on the live action.
Yeah. And the character in the anime, I don't know, seems like she's 19 or 20 years old, or like and then the live action, it feels like everyone's a little older.
Yeah, they are. They're a little bit older. Do you want to talk about the fourth missing character, the fourth protagonist?
Well, let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about John Cho first for a second. What do you think of John
Sure.
Cho's portrayal of Fearless?
Side note, in the anime, he was never called Fearless. I think that's a
Oh, really?
story. Yeah, his name when he was in the Syndicate was not really referenced. Vicious was referenced, and the two of them being partners, Fearless and Vicious, they work hand in hand. But the name Fearless, as far as I can remember, and I tried to skim through the anime just to make sure I was not wrong about this, but they never said the word Fearless. That's a Netflix thing.
So,
it's a
did
bit
you like
strange.
his portrayal? What do you think?
Yeah, John Cho did a really good job. He did the best he could with the character. At times, I felt that John Cho and Spike specifically, I wish he had a couple more episodes, a couple more side stories that could have dove deeper into his backstory, maybe built up his character a little bit more, because that character is very rich, and there was a lot that they left on the table. But John Cho did the best he could with it.
Yeah. You want unpopular opinion?
Go for it.
I kind of wish he was a little younger.
You wish there was a younger person playing Spike.
I wanted young John Cho.
Oh, you wanted skinny,
wanted
fat,
Harold.
little bit soft John Cho to play him.
No, I don't know.
I don't know about that, Curtis. I don't know about that.
I feel like Spike Spiegel in the anime has a little more swagger versus
He does, yeah.
versus the live action John Cho. 49-year-old John Cho had a little more life, a little more beat up, which is fine. But I think the spirit of the anime had Spike Spiegel being a little younger, a little less
More
life.
loosey goosey.
Yeah, a little less life under his belt versus a little less regrets. Only that one regret, and maybe. But when you look at 49-year-old John Cho's face, which looks amazing, I'm not saying he looks old, but I'm saying he has a little life to him, a little more life under his belt.
Once you get a bit more deeper into the anime, if you finish the anime and get to episode 26, you realize that Spike the character is a very depressing character.
Yeah,
I think John he plays it very representative of the latter half of the anime series. Maybe that'll make a bit more sense when you get to it.
Okay.
Yeah, because the first half of the anime is they throw in small tidbits about Julia and his past and their side stories, but for the most part, it's I would say comedic bounty adventures that they're jumping back and forth on.
Yeah.
So it makes it seem a bit more lighthearted, but at its heart, at its ending and its deeper meaning, the anime is kind of depressing.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'll keep an open mind about that. But no, he did great. I think you're right. He did the best he could with what he had, and I like the character. And John Cho is great. You have a favorite scene or episode?
My favorite episode was the one where Spike was stuck in that AI-driven memory loop.
Yes. Yeah.
That was very reminiscent of Twilight Zone, or for our younger viewers, Black Mirror. It was one of those things. For whatever reason, it gave me like a little Twilight vibe, and that was a cool episode.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah, and then the whole if he lets go of his vision, or if he lets go of his purpose, then he dies. And that last recreation of it, he grabs her and takes her. He's like, "You're gonna come in with me no matter what." Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Well, see, and that's what planted the seed in my head that they were gonna fall in love again, live happily ever after. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is what's gonna happen." And then they gave me a 180 on that, which is fine.
Yep.
Which is fine. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes was that one.
Did you enjoy the fighting overall? Because John Cho did say he had to do a lot of his, he had to train a lot for this. I think at some point in some interview, he referenced as this being the most difficult role that he's ever played, both physically
Yeah.
physically and acting. in part because he tore his ACL, of course.
It didn't look amazing, because we're so used to Shang-Chi, or we're really used to really fast,
High budget.
Yeah, but it worked.
There's also far less spacing about in the show that I wish they did a bit more action scenes in space. But I get that it's for budgetary reasons. But, Space Cowboy, I would have liked them to be in space a bit more.
Yeah. I was gonna say that the scene I really liked was when Jet is watching his daughter's recital, and Spike has to fight off Minky's guys in the background, and it's just that worked for me because he's just running around grabbing whatever he can to hit him with, but he's still good. He's still really good at beating people up, but it just was hilarious. That was one of my favorite scenes.
And the shopkeeper had no idea what was going on with Jet, because Jet was connected into his Oculus teleporting Zoom call thing.
Yeah.
That was good. That was a funny scene.
That was a good scene. And you could see that being an anime scene too. That's just like the way it works. Anything really didn't work for you?
Vicious.
Yeah.
Nothing against the actor. I thought he was very single-noted. And they gave him basically a whole episode to try to show his backstory and show him as a character and what happened to him. He had basically a whole episode to him, and I still, at the end of it, all I got was he was just a spoiled kid, a spoiled, angry kid with daddy issues.
Yeah, not a lot of depth. And then even just his look, I mean, the bleached hair and his acting is just over the top. I mean, it is anime, right? But his acting is really over the top. And you don't get the sense that there was any reason for Julia to ever like him, right?
Yeah.
In the first place.
Some points he didn't even seem like he would be that scary. He was just a very angry person. In the anime they played it better. He was more the silent, cool, collected assassin that you would fear, but he's not going to come out there and just start screaming at you for no reason.
Yeah. And what are they called? The elders or the...
Yeah, the elder is the head of the syndicate.
Yeah, they just look kind of dumb to me. I don't know.
Well, those costumes are pretty accurate.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm sure, but in the anime it probably works better. In here, it just look like masks,
Yeah, it does. That's one of those things where you can't blame them. They tried their best, but some things, like we keep saying, just don't translate well.
Yeah. So I don't know. Overall, what grade would you give this? Let's forget for a second that it is an anime adaptation.
Okay.
Just standing on its own as a show, what would you give it?
I would give it, taking off my anime weeb fandom hat, I would give it a B-.
Yeah, I'm right about there too.
Really? Yeah.
And then as an adaptation, even lower, you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, I gotta knock it down a few pegs. And the strange thing is, I don't want to make it sound like I'm a super critical fan, just because I like the anime, just because I'm a self-proclaimed weeb. Because the one thing that I think is embarrassing is most anime fans are they have unnecessarily strong opinions about live action adaptations of especially when it's a treasured property.
Right.
And now a studio is trying to make something out of it. So I think that does need to be tempered down a bit.
Yeah. So just standing on its own is definitely watchable. Solid B-. If you're a hardcore Cowboy Bebop fan, you're probably not going to love it. But you probably should watch it, right? You probably should watch it.
You should watch it because it's new content. The thing about Cowboy Bebop, unlike a lot of other big properties, is there's not a lot of spin-offs. I think there's only one spin-off movie, and that was way early on, and that movie takes place in the middle of the series. So if you just want more Cowboy Bebop content, then this is all you got.
That's all you got? Yeah.
Can't complain.
All right. So who would you recommend it to?
I would recommend it to anyone that has nothing better to watch on Netflix and just wants to see John Cho on his abs, specifically more zoom-ins of his abs.
Okay, all right. So John Cho fans for sure. It kind of reminded me a little bit. Do you ever watch Firefly or?
Yeah. Love that show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that show. So it's got a little bit of that feel to it, kind of
True,
a
true.
sci-fi western.
Oh, that's a side point. I really wish Firefly could get a second season, but I know they tried to wrap up with the movie.
Yeah, yeah. I love the movie too. But actually they were saying I read one review of this show and they were saying that the dialogue was reminiscent of Josh Whedon's kind of Buffy Vampire Slayer kind of stuff. Like the way
Really?
that the reviewer was saying that the way they talk in this is kind of like Josh Whedon, where they're just trying to be super clever, and it's not like they're really talking to anyone. They're just always trying to say something funny.
Up each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
can
they were
see
saying
that.
that's kind of characteristic of Josh Whedon, and then I started thinking about Firefly. I was like, oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. But they didn't like it. They were saying that that's one of the reasons this thing stalls out is because the dialogue is always just trying to be funny,
Mm-hmm.
and not. It's almost like they're talking to the audience and not talking to each other. So
Yeah, the internet has strong opinions about this. I tried my best not to look at it prior to coming onto the show because I didn't want to get their opinions stuck in my head. But I took a quick glance, and it's not very nice out there.
yeah. Yet people watched it, so it's gotten some eyeballs on it. So yeah, I recommend it to people who kind of like that genre, kind of like a genre bending show. The visuals are great. If you kind of like
The
soundtrack, yeah, for sure. That's why the trailer was so good. Is the soundtrack? They got you.
the trailer was probably better than any one single episode.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
just go watch the trailer on repeat.
On loop. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming along. I think that's going to do it for episode number 16. Thanks to Lingjie for coming by and giving your...
Anytime.
This is your A-plus opinions. You saved all your worst opinions for your podcast. So thanks for bringing the good stuff.
Also, I reined in the profanity. You'll be very proud. Very proud.
We are a wholesome show around here. We
You are definitely a wholesome show. I have my thesaurus next to me, and I try to do my best.
You know what someone told me is that their kid listens to podcasts before they go to, their 10-year-old kid listens to podcasts when they go to sleep.
Like a bedtime story.
Yeah. And guess who's on the list?
Who's on the list?
The InfatuAsian, not the worst Asian podcast.
No, please, don't.
But
Don't be a bad parent.
the InfatuAsian podcast. So I got to be careful, man. We got little kids listening to us, Lingjie.
Yeah, you can't click that check mark for E.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to go into that segment. Yeah, so no, but it's a pleasure having you on here. Everybody, give a listen to the Worst Asian Podcast. You got a new episode coming soon. What's happening? What's the plan over there?
We try to release new episodes every single Thursday. We're gonna stay committed to that. I hope this doesn't age like milk. So every single Thursday, a new episode of our podcast. Like I said, no one wants our handles, so you can find us on all the social medias at Worst Asian Pod. If you want to look at our faces, if you want to listen to us, then we're on all the major platforms: Apple, Spotify, all that jazz. Just go to www.worstasianpod.com, and it'll just take you everywhere.
Yeah, and you had a great line for your holiday show, because this is the last one we're doing of 2021. We're going to take a 2-week break. But on your holiday show, you had a great line, or Ben had a great line about, hey, everyone out there, just have us playing in the kitchen while, you're getting your Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa meal together. Just have us in the background. And someone might say, hey, what is this? What are we listening to here? And, then...
We're trying to plug our own show on our own show.
So everyone out there, if you could have it playing in the background while you're getting your feast together, everyone's washing the dishes or, making some mashed potatoes or something, have us in the background. It's no fun to work in the kitchen without some sound in the background. So have us playing.
That's the whole point of podcast, just to keep you company.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe you're doing the after Christmas walk of caloric shame as you're trying to work off your hundreds of overeating calories. Yeah, have us on your walk with you, or just tell a friend about us. I'm trying to get more ratings on Apple, so I have an idea.
I dove deep into that, and I read the newest things about ratings themselves not actually being that important.
Oh, never mind.
But nope, don't hold me to it. This was new information that I partially digested and I'm regurgitating to you. So as per brand, I could be wrong.
I was gonna offer people $1 for a 5-star review.
That's probably better. That probably works better.
All right, if you leave me a 5-star review or a review, actual review, I'll Venmo you $1.
What they should do is in the review, because I hear that written reviews are better for the algorithm than just straight number reviews. They should just put their Venmo address in the review, and then you can just Venmo them right there.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So go to Apple Podcasts, go to my show link, and write a review. I don't care. Yeah, just literally put your Venmo address in there, and just keep checking. You'll get that $1 sooner or later. So up to 100 people. That's my limit. That's my limit. If I get 100 reviews,
That's your marketing budget.
that's it. Oh shit, that's $100 over my marketing budget. But yeah. So anyway, folks out there, have a great holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate. Have a great time, and we'll see you. Well, the InfatuAsian podcast. We'll see you in January. Are you gonna power through the holidays and keep coming with that every Thursday episode thing?
100%. This is not going to age like milk.
You heard it here. Every Thursday, expect amazing worstness on the Spotify or
Perfect.
Apple. Yeah. So thanks everyone out there for listening. On behalf of Lingjie and myself, we hope you're all happy, healthy, and safe out there. We'll talk to you soon, and bye.
Take care. Happy holidays.
My friend.
That was refreshing.
What's how so?
Trying to think. You ever heard that line? And I think I heard it from what is it? Roman Mars. He does 99% Invisible.
Yeah.
I think he did some interview where, and this is just me paraphrasing, like the person that you are on the radio is not you. It's you playing a version of you.
Right. Yeah.
And like, and to a certain extent, I'm sure like we can all say it's true. Like we're just exaggerating certain parts of ourselves, for the internet.
Do you ever forget that you're recording? Like you're just talking to Ben, you're just talking.
Yeah. Like, behind the scenes stuff. Like the thing that we do, the thing that I have to edit the most is we go off tangent a lot because we forget that we're recording shit.
Yeah.
And then we'll go off on a completely different topic, and sometimes we get too personal, and then we go, oh, we probably shouldn't say these things, and then we have to rewind. So I'm just constantly editing, cutting out snippets where I'm like, we went off tangent again here and here and there.
Yeah.
But I guess the benefit to that is you have more content to then try to chop down into a usable episode, right?
Yeah. No, I think with two of us, I don't think I'll need to do. I mean, we talked over each other a couple times, but that's really easy to clean up with the 2 tracks. Just delete one of us.
That's true. That is very true, and it's actually better because there is no bleed from our mic into the other mic because we're one country away.
Yeah. No. So my show is probably much more feels like an interview.
Yeah, it does.
And then yours is much more of a conversation.
That's true. Yeah. Well, for whatever our conversation is worth, it feels like it.
Well, yeah. So it's pretty hard because you're constantly aware that you're on Zoom, and you're being recorded with my style. But every so often, some people eagle-eared listeners have said that the first sometimes I record for 2 hours and then I use. And they said that the second hour sounds a lot more relaxed and a lot more natural.
That's true. Because you cut your episodes into 2 weeks, right?
Basically.
Like the sitcom one was one whole recording, but you cut it up into 2 weeks?
Yeah, most of them are like that, yeah. So the first hour, like you said, we're all kind of playing the character. We're all kind of like, okay, it's showtime. It's interview time. We're answering questions. I'm going to sound smart. I'm going to sound whatever. And then by the second hour, we're just tired. We're just talking. But people say it feels a lot more natural, more relaxed.
That's true too. Because when you're sitting down and you're questioning a person back and forth, I think when you sound like a reporter on CNN trying to get a response from someone, it's not as good to listen to. When both sides are more relaxed, when you're both kind of like let your guard down and you're okay just saying whatever. And I think by the second hour, you would say like the lines that you have in your head are all gone.
You're actually talking. Yeah, you're actually talking.
Yeah, you're actually talking. You're not just reciting things that you thought about wanting to say.
Yeah, my script.
You have good show notes too, but you also jumped around, which I'm glad, because that makes me feel bad. When I have my show notes and we jump around way too much, I'm like, damn it, how can we not just... It's like 4 lines, right? You're just trying to stay on 4 lines, but it's good to see that even you, with your very in-depth script, you skipped around too.
Well, yeah, I like to write it out just in case. But yeah, if someone's talking about costumes, then all of a sudden you go, well, how about that acting? Like,
that's true.
So I like to write it out as a safety net. But in reality, I kind of have it memorized where I kind of want to say stuff, but the script is there just in case. All right, so this will be next Wednesday. I'll clean it up a little, but